Hi, we're at Monday again. All right, this person writes, no, this is from Chrissy. Chrissy says, my question is not necessarily about recovery, but about life after recovery. I spent more than a year in proper recovery after a long time in semi-recovery, and I feel I'm nearing a point where I could see myself fully recovered. I lived in the same city, practically the same house, until I left my job to pursue proper recovery, worked at the same company with all the same people who knew me when I was doing really bad. I lived here practically as long as I've been sick, about 10 years, just a few out of college. Although my life outside the illness has been blessed, I desire so much to live somewhere else, and I feel like I have a new start. There's very little in this place that I want, and there are so many memories and dark things. Even though I know this environment will not keep me from full recovery, it does feel like it holds me back from the joy I could be experiencing as I'm recovering more and more every day. I don't have a lot of friends, and practically everyone I knew here knew me when I was sick. My husband and I are planning to move away, but of course it'll take a while. I just listened to your New Year's podcast where you talked about your old village in England. I've not heard you talk about your life very much, although you did mention that you wrote about it in Farrar, but I know you moved countries and now live in Colorado. It may be a bit presumptive to ask, but I'm curious if moving away from that village was beneficial to you after full recovery because of the memories you had there. Would you suggest, if it's feasible, moving away from the place that you were sick for a long time? Well, that's a pretty personal, not personal to me, but personal, depends on the person. Some people's, their environment, their home environment that they've been in for a while is absolutely the most supportive place and the best place for them to be in full recovery. Here's a few observations from moving away, and bear in mind, I do think that you can recover anywhere. So if you decide that you want to recover, you can do it in any environment. I do believe that, because recovery is really all about you. There were some positives to moving away, I think. Things like, I guess, I'm actually struggling to think of things that I really think were like, this really helped me in recovery. Because there were things like, in my old village at home, there were certain routes that I used to run every day. But when I decided that I'd gone cold turkey on the exercise, I wasn't running no matter what. So it's not like I could be tempted to run them. I know that when I was kind of in recovery, yeah, absolutely, I would have been tempted to run those routes that I always ran. But when I was properly in recovery, I wouldn't have. What was a positive of moving away? Because everything that I can think of that sort of was a positive actually wasn't, if I look at it. So the main thing that I can think of is that, well, nobody knew that I had an eating disorder. But that also means that people sort of accept you as you are and don't remind you that this is not the way that you are without an eating disorder. So I don't necessarily think that that's a positive. Yeah, it's a positive if your eating disorder's in control, because your eating disorder can get away with more, because the people that you've just met don't know that that's an eating disorder behavior for you. The people that you've just met may not know that you're currently actually at a suppressed body weight. You're not at the weight that you're supposed to be. The people that you've met may not know that restrictive eating is not actually normal for you. And because you've just met them, they're not going to say anything either anyway, are they? Because that's kind of weird if you just meet someone to be like, you're not eating right. Whereas your friends and family that have known you for a long time are probably more likely to say that. And so I think that for many people, that's what feels like it's the advantage. I'm not going to have people on my back the whole time. But is that really an advantage for recovery, or is that an advantage for your eating disorder? It kind of depends where your attitude's at, doesn't it? And so I know that, yes, there were certain things like, oh, it's really nice not to have people knowing my entire history the whole time. But ultimately, it's the people that know your entire history that probably mean the most to you at some point. And I have a number of regrets, actually, about moving away. I mean, I wouldn't change anything about my life for the world. But God, do I miss my family and my friends. And the hardest part is that now that I'm fully recovered and I'm actually somebody that appreciates my family and friends, I'm not around them as, And the years that I was still living in England, a good portion of them I was a complete Fruit Loop, and my eating disorder was just rampant, and I wasn't really appreciating people. And so in a sense, it would be nice to be fully recovered and around those people. And I think that also it's always amazing to me that once I got fully recovered, how quickly people just started treating me normally, and how quickly me having an eating disorder was not the topic of conversation all the time. Because you know what? That's not what people want to be the main topic of conversation, especially not my friends and family. So it's not like it's like once you're recovered, and people can sense, I think. People can sense when you're kind of like, oh yeah, I'm saying I'm recovered and I'm really not. And you're still edgy around food and still kind of, you know what I mean? And people can sense when it's just gone, when it's gone. And when it's gone, it's like everybody relaxes. And it's not like that. One of the reasons that I thought I don't want to be around friends and family and they all drive me crazy is because that way you can sort of tell that everybody's watching you eat and judging that you're not eating enough, or judging, whatever it is. You just feel like people are thinking things about the way I'm eating. And then when it's gone, people just relax, or at least in my experience. And it just really, really surprised me how quickly people just fell out of the role of bugging me to eat more and bugging me about the way I was eating and telling me that I needed to eat a more varied diet and all of that stuff. Even though they may have been in that role for 10 years or more, it just incredible to me how quickly that they just dropped out of that, and suddenly we weren't even talking about it anymore. Now, that worked in my, can work, yeah. The answer to the question is I can't answer that question for you. There's no right or wrong here, but you do have to understand that recovery can happen anywhere, and your eating disorder can absolutely go with you anywhere. And I know lots of people that have moved away because they're kind of like, new start, and I'm not taking my eating disorder with me. And do you know what? It came with them, because it's not actually the environment that needs to change. It's internal shit that needs to change. And sometimes environments can help that, and sometimes they can't. And sometimes it's actually just really neutral, and you just need to change that internal shit, and everything else will work out around you. That's the main thing that I found. When I got myself sorted out, everything else in my life just seemed to fall into place, especially things that had seemed just so difficult. Like, there were so many things about my life that just everything seemed difficult when I had an eating disorder. And when I recovered and I really started to put my body first, it's just stuff just started to slot into place. So I hope that's true for you. So you wrote in January, it sounds like, and we're in what month are we in? January, February, March. We're in May, end of May. So let me know how you're getting on, all right? Bye.